back, everyone, to the Mac and Fish podcast. I'm Coach McKinley Roll. Today we have a great guest on today. One is a family friend of ours, one that Fish and I know very well. Fish, tell everyone about our guest.
Bob, or you could call, I could call you Robert LaCivita or Bob LaCivita. But the first time I actually met Bob was through a mutual friend, was Carmen Grosso, who was a coach at FIU, and he said, "Hey, Fish, I have this guy at University of Florida I'd like for you to meet. I think you could help him out." And I met Bob, and he got my recruiting service. He actually when he left Florida, he got my service at Florida, and then a week later got it at Florida State. And I never had either school before Bob, so understand how important he's been to not only my career but my businesses. And I've always respected him. He's done a great job wherever he's been, and I look forward to having him on the show.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'm going to hop right into it. Bob, how did you get your start in major college football?
Well, now we're going back to keep in mind when Ronald Reagan was president, gasoline, though it's down now, was probably even less. This was 1983, and I was working at the University of Pittsburgh. And actually, I was working in the Student Affairs Division, and I was teaching a class there. Now, I played college football at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and so college football was a passion of mine. But I was working in the Student Affairs Division and helping the football team with recruiting on weekends and talking to prospects. And actually, to be quite honest with you, I was teaching a class, and the class was had a lot of football players in it. And now I was teaching the class, and we did everything by the book. But I made sure that if, for example, if at the time they needed to get somebody in my class to be eligible, I would accommodate them, do it all within the rules. So I was a friend to the football program. I was also doing some work with cable television, and I had interviewed the head football coach, Coach Fazio, and we were actually doing a program just on him and how he became the head coach. So I got to know him. I got to be at his house. I was part of their football family. Position to open up, and as a recruiting coordinator in football, I was working on my PhD. They trusted me. They offered me the job. I defended my dissertation in the morning, walked into the football office in the afternoon, and it was 1983, and that's when I got started. As a matter of fact, Carmen Grosso was on the staff.
Wow. That's a good staff there. So, I'm going to kind of follow up with that question. You got into the business, you kind of were like the recruiting coordinator, or, some people call it the general manager now. Back then there weren't really these positions. Are you surprised at how far it's come in college football, that position, and how big recruiting departments have gotten, whether it's an Alabama, an LSU, or any of these programs, and how far it's come from when you first started?
Oh, Fish, it's so much different. Then I was, I was a one-man band. We worked a lot off of lists and requesting, for example, video. They were those old 6mm films from high school coaches. So in being in charge of recruiting, obviously you're involved in setting up the visits on campus. And at that time, there was unlimited visits and unlimited phone calls. So you could bring a ninth grader on campus. There was no restrictions on when you could start recruiting them. And basically, you'd send out mail. I'd make phone calls to coaches. They'd talk about a player. I'd ask the coach to send me the 9mm film. They would send it. It might take 3 days to get there. I'd plug it in, watch the film, take notes on it, get back to the coaches, send the film back. Now, keep in mind today I could get a phone call, and it's somebody saying, "Hey, can you check on this kid?" Might be a coach, and says, "Well, what's his name? What school you calling from?" And I said, "Can you hold on a minute?" And I'd put them on hold. I'd have their name. I'd go on huddle. I'd watch the film. And in 2 minutes, I could get back with him, and I could basically say, well, you know what? This guy is really good, or maybe this guy's somebody we should invite to camp. And so the whole process has changed dramatically from information in, information out, information coming in from all directions. Now, what's really changed is with social media, and it's 24/7, 365. And I always like to, I remember in 1980, I just finished up my doctorate. So, I'm into these studies. And I remember there was a study came out, and it was just a questionnaire. It asked recruits what they liked the most about the school they attended. Well, people and environment was the first thing. Okay, well, that makes sense. You're going to like the people. You're going to want to like the campus. The academics, that's important. And then it was the winning tradition of the program. Well, today, if you think about it, those things have not changed. But there's one fourth thing, one thing that's really changed it, and it's building the recruit's brand. You're helping them build their brand by how you create all of your presentations, your media, digital presentations that you send to them, because they're building up their followers. And so there's this whole marketing helping them build their brand as becomes part of the whole recruiting process. And I'm going to tell you where we're headed next is with name, image, and likeness. If you have X number of followers, I saw a projection where it was anywhere. I'm not going to mention the guy's name. It was a quarterback redshirted, not a Florida State anywhere last year. He's actually Spencer Rattler. I read this, and they projected with name, image, and likeness. He didn't even start. He could have made $700,000 on name, image. Now think about it. Now, so if I'm being recruited, I'm going to be looking at, and now parents are asking, how are you going to help my son with the name, image, and likeness? That may be the first question. Well, how do you help them? You help them build up their followers, number of followers that they have on Facebook and Twitter. They're following, because, and so if you're going to this school has X number of followers, you're going to get those number of followers. That's how things have changed dramatically. And it's changed. I'm not saying, it is what it is. And that's the world that we live in now. And that's how much it's changed so much. Now you still have to do a good job of evaluating talent. You got to have a good base. You got to know where the players are. You got to know how to fill your needs, what your needs are. You got to do a great job with that. You got to do a great job when they get on campus. You got to sell the academics, and it's very important, and the tradition of the program. But the building, now I'm talking about the top prospects, helping them build their brand. Keep in mind, by the time they get to campus, they may have 30,000, 40,000 followers. And so that's what's changed. And that makes it a lot harder.
A follow-up question on that, though, you bring up this likeness of the players. You have 85 kids that are on scholarship. You have another 20 or 30 walk-ons. How are coaching staff going to handle all of that? Are you going to now have to hire a staff among your staff to handle that type of, that image and likeness part of it?
What's going to happen is there's going to be somebody on staff that's going to monitor the process. Okay, so the coaches aren't going to be able to, they don't have time to do that. Once you sign your scholarship and you're a student athlete at a school, that's going to be a very, very, very tough job. And I don't think any of us really knows just how hard it's going to be when we start out, because obviously you're not going to have every player on that team that is going to be marketable, because you've got to, obviously be one of the top players on the team. But everybody that's being recruited to these top schools envisions themselves as being one of those people. So you're going to have to sell them on that. Once they get there, there's going to be somebody in charge from compliance that will have to monitor the whole process. And I think it's going to be really, really tough. I think it's good that the young men and their families have a chance to make some, because some of these young men and their families, need finances to help them in their family situation. So I have no problem with that, but I just think it's going to be hard at first to implement this, and it's going to change college football as far as we know it in terms of recruiting. The product on the field, is going to stay the same, but I think that's the big change. But let's not forget that you still have to do a good job of evaluating talent, of finding the players that fit your needs, and make sure that you do a good job of marketing your academics and doing a good job on campus. But this other element is kind of a little bit of an unknown.
Well, next question, Bob.
McKinley.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your brother would have walked on that campus. He would have had more followers than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
He was the number one player in the U.S. He's and I've often told him he's going to end up being president someday, or senator.
I agree.
He's going to be.
I've already asked McKinley to be on the staff. I'm ready to go.
Oh yeah. Well, but my point is, just think, because I know I was involved in recruiting him. He was the number one guy, and he was different. He was a superstar on and off the field. And can you imagine how many followers he would have had?
Yeah, no doubt. We talk about all the time. If he was coming out, if social media was around back then when he was going through the process of being Rhodes Scholar, he would have millions of followers through that. But it is what it is. But Bob, what was it like to work for? You worked at NC State, you worked at University of Florida, you worked at Florida State. What was it to work for Chuck Amon, Urban Meyer, and Jimbo Fisher? What are they? How are they similar? What are their differences?
Well, I think I would speak to everyone's strengths, and they were all. Let's face it. When Chuck got to NC State, he turned the program around. We probably the zenith of our time there was 2002. I remember a Thursday night we went into Clemson. On a Thursday night we beat them 38-6. We were ranked in I think number 7 or 8 in the country. We finished number 11 in the country. I'm going to tell you what our plan was. The plan was, number one, get the players, win the battle in North Carolina. And I think we did out-recruit North Carolina at the time. The next plan was, the best part of the plan was go to Florida and South Florida and try to get the players that Florida State, Miami couldn't get, because they can't sign all of them. Because when a kid's name would come up in a conversation, Chuck would say, "Can we beat Florida State with them?" Well, no, I don't. Can we beat Florida State? Well, you know what? We did beat Florida State. We beat them in 2001. We beat them in 2002. Took them into overtime in 3. They beat us at the end in 4. And the year after I left, they beat them in 5. So the object was to have a good plan, win in North Carolina, and get players out of Florida. And that's what we did. And so I think, Chuck was a great organizer, and he had a plan, and we believed it. We had a little bit of swagger. Chuck was, we were wearing the red shoes. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Glasses on the sideline. And, the funny thing is I've said this to Chuck, like I talked to him a couple of years back. I said, Chuck, when we walked out on that field, I said, we felt like we weren't just going to beat you on the field. We could kick your friggin' butt. If we could kick your butt, that was our motto. We're not afraid of anybody. We had this bravado, but you know what? We backed it up, but I think that was believing in our product and having a good plan. You can believe in something, but it might not be a good plan. Working for Florida, think Urban, we came in and I was there in 2005, and he took a team of Zook's players and molded them. He put together a plan, and I sat there and watched it, how he got the players to believe in the plan and the product. And there were some, you have your really top players, and then you have your guys that are very good players, and he kept everybody on the same page. And in 2005, we went 9-3. So they started believing in the product. And in 2006, we won a national championship. And really, if you're looking at a blueprint, think about it. He took a team that was good, really good, had good players, few great ones, but not a whole lot of them. I mean, you look at Chris Lee. Can you remember who the backup quarterback was? Can you remember who their top fullback, their running back was? Can you remember any of their offensive linemen?
Yeah.
Can you remember any of them? Any household names?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you what, he won with that group in 8. Now, I'm at Florida State at the time. And in 6, there were a few players like Tebow and Harvin we had brought in that I was part of. But the team that won in 8, that was mostly all the guys that we recruited when I was there those 2 years. Now, there's household names in that group.
Yeah.
So what he did, he took somebody else's players and won the championship with them by molding them, building the plan, and then he took his own players and had one of the greatest teams, built a great team. So if you're looking at a blueprint for how you go into a program, and they have good players, they've kind of fallen back, he's really done it. And I think he did it again at Ohio State.
No question.
When I had a chance to leave there, I left on great terms with everybody. I'd worked for Terry Bowden at Auburn, so I was friends. I was really close. I was close with the Bowdens, and when they created the position at Florida State, there's no way I wasn't gonna make the move, walk in there and work for Bobby Bowden, and I was. And work for a great program, because Bobby's just like he's on another level as far as a human being, as a coach, and so and here's the other thing we did. When I walked in, I felt we could use the same plan as far as recruiting areas at Florida. Here again is basically make sure you got Florida. You're recruiting Florida. And count Georgia as kind of your home state, and then recruit everywhere else that you could get top players, and so the same plan actually, as it turned out, worked in both places. And I was fortunate enough to be around Coach Fisher, and then because let me tell you this, Coach Fisher is a football savant. You know what a savant is a genius. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy could coach any position on the field. He's on top of his game, and the other thing is that the things that we brought off the field, like we had a psychologist, we used the GPS technology, all these things. He was on top of all the new programs that you could apply that maybe didn't exist a few years back, and that helped to sell the product too. But he was, if you were on the sidelines with him during a game, I could see him. Yeah, no, he's intense. He's into the game, but I could see his mind turning, and he was probably looking at plays to call in the second half, and he knew he already had adjustments on top of the adjustments he was going to make in his mind. He was so far ahead. He's really, and he's proven it at A&M. I mean, he's a great coach. So, I've been fortunate to work for 3 national championship coaches, and I was able to, be part of building 2 of those teams. So, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. One of the questions I want to ask you, because like the average fan out there thinks that college coaches go out, they evaluate like they're NFL scouts, and they go out there and they evaluate these kids, but they don't realize that there's a lot of people outside your circle, and I'm in that business. I have a recruiting service How important are people like me and my recruiting service? There used to be LRS, there was a Forbes report. How much of that is important in your success and the success you've had?
Fish, if you look at it, I think when you and I talked, and I was at Florida, and one of the things Urban wanted to do was we wanted to make sure we were strong in South Florida, and so in order to be strong in South Florida, you want to be with somebody that's there watching these guys because you can't watch all the games they're in. You can't see them at practice unless it's certain times of the year. You want somebody who you trust their eyes and you trust their judgment and you trust their evaluations, and you trust it not only because they've seen these guys, they've talked to them, and also you were able to knowing things, maybe some family, a young man may have maybe an important person that you need to talk to is the uncle, because all these kids. So I thought it was vital that we had. You know what you were like, Fish? You were like a coach in Florida. You were like a recruiting coach in South Florida, because you obviously couldn't talk to the kids and tell them to go to Florida State. I'm not saying that, but you knew everything about them, and your report I would follow diligently the evaluations, but I could also call you and you could also tell me, hey, I just saw this kid, and so I thought that was like having maybe say if we had one of the 9 coaches assigned to Florida, really we had 2 with you down there.
Right, and you know what's crazy is I try to tell people, the film evaluation, anybody, you see film, you can watch a kid, you're like, all right, this kid could play at Florida State, Florida, Miami. I think where I try to tell people that it's important, what we do is what they are like, the evaluation, are they coachable? When we're watching them practice, how the kid's responding to coaching, is the kid yelling back at his coaches? How are they in the classroom? There's so much more to an evaluation than just them being at a play. If they couldn't play, you wouldn't recruit them. But that evaluation off the field and a lot of the things and how they respond to adversity during a game, those are things that you don't see in a highlight film.
No. And, keep in mind when you're recruiting, like say in NFL, you got a whole scouting staff. I mean, getting the players is the lifeblood of any program. I don't care if it's high school or if it's college. And I guess high school, you got guys changing schools in high school, college, and of course in the pros. And you don't have, your coaches have to be your scouting staff that are out there. I mean, you have people in the office. We're finding players, but we got to have boots on the ground. Somebody is telling us some things that we need to know that nobody else maybe knows, or knows something about that kid. So that information is so vital, because we don't have NFL. They'll send the scouting. They'll spend a whole day. They'll talk to trainers. They'll talk to academic people. It's a little different situation. You're trying to get a lot of that information, but you don't have the manpower. Your coaches have to coach, and then they have to evaluate, and then they have to actually recruit them. So you need information that you can't get from those sources that you get from somebody else. And when you're in a talent-rich area like South Florida, you get 1 or 2 players in South Florida can win you a national championship. And they may not always be the top guys. I mean, you look at rosters all over in the NFL, and how many players come out of South Florida. It's just any smart coach east of the Mississippi, and I'm going to say maybe east of the Pacific Ocean, should go down, at least if you're going to go to Florida, go to South Florida, and you're going to find players, and the competition is just they're better players, they're better athletes that end up being better players.
Bob, I got a question.
Yeah.
Who was the best player you ever scouted or evaluated?
Boy, it's hard to say. It's funny. People ask me sometimes, who's the most dynamic player? Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you that I saw change games. and this guy, he and I just communicated on Facebook, and remember Greg Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Greg, if you watch his highlight in high school, I saw plays where he had 11 guys. He had the ball in his hands. 11 guys missed it. 11. And on defense, he would be knocking the you-know-what out of guys. And he was an outstanding athlete. And actually was committed to Florida.
Yep.
And then decommitted, and we signed him. But I saw him in games. Now, you have to be on the sideline with this. He's 5'8", maybe 170 pounds. When he was on the field, it was like, you see kids playing in the backyard. They're smiling, they're laughing, they're enjoying themselves. He was enjoying himself out on the field. But when we needed a play, he made it. We needed a kickoff return against Maryland. He made it. Mm-hmm. We needed a big play against Miami. We played them on a Monday night, 2008. We lost at the end. Jarman Forston dropped the pass in the end zone. I don't know if you remember that. It was the last play of the game.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Greg rushed the passer, and Marcus White had an interception return for a touchdown that kind of turned the game around there. I saw him. One of the most game-changing plays was in the Peach Bowl in 2010, and Marcus Lattimore I think he caught a little short pass, and they were South Carolina opening drive. They're getting ready. They're going down to get in position to score, and all I could tell was I heard like a ooh, and I saw Lattimore flying and helmet, and I was wondering what the heck happened over on the side of the field over there, and the ball's rolling, and I see Kendall Smith pick it up, and he runs it all the way down the other end. We score. We end up winning that game. And he hit him and knocked his teeth out. I don't know if you remember that play.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. To this day, I think Greg Reed is a player that changed the trajectory of Florida State football under Jimbo. He's the guy that was committed to Florida. Florida had all the momentum at that time. And you're right. I mean, he was a special player. And I remember that South Carolina game. It's like the players started to believe that they could win there. Like you saw the program take another step after that game because of him.
Right. And you know what? What changed that whole? It was opening drive. It changed the whole game. Yep. And I couldn't see exactly. I just heard bodies flying, and I thought, what the heck happened over there? Here was a 5'8", 170-pound guy that caught Marcus Lattimore, knocked his teeth out. And let me tell you this, the ball was rolling. If Kendall doesn't pick it up, Greg would have picked the ball up and would have scored because he's a little faster. He would have scored. Kendall took it down and pretty deep in their territory. But that guy was just and he enjoyed it too. The other thing is you had to be down on the field with him. It's like he's in his backyard playing. Wow. And he's just this 5'8" guy, and he did it his first game. First game was in Miami. He expected to do it, but that guy stands out to me. You ask me, and of course I've been seeing Percy Harvin's and Mario Williams first pick of the draft, and Jameis Winston's first pick, and Cam Newton. I've seen some great players, but just somebody that I think was kind of special, and it was Greg Reed.
One of the things how you ended up having success at Florida and then ended up having the same success at Florida State was Friday Night Lights. How did this come about? And how did you ever come up with this kind of concept? And
I'm going to tell you this. It was Coach Meyer's idea. So I don't want to say it was his idea because he's just a great coach and a great recruiter. I did help put it together. I helped organize it. And then when I left Florida and went to Florida State, we kind of rebranded it as Seminole Showtime, Camping with the Stars. And what we ended up doing is I found out that you could hire former players to be the coaches when those former players couldn't be in contact with those kids, but because they were camp instructors, they came in and they were coaching them, and it was a show. It was a show, and but that was Urban's idea. I helped put it together, took it to Florida State, and then we took it from there and kind of added another element to it. But it was, I remember Julio Jones and being at the first one. It was just that we had and I can remember Clint Trickett was one of the quarterbacks. He was a sophomore, and he's thrown to Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice was our special guest, and then you had Terrell Buckley trying to guard him one-on-one. I mean, so we had it was just a great night, a great environment, and but that's how that idea came about.
Yep. You were at Florida at its peak. Then you ended up at FSU. What did you know that those were special teams and had a chance of playing for national championships?
Well, I think you got to have a special coach, a leader, somebody that has a commanding presence on the field that the players believe in. You've got to have quarterback, and you got to have the skill players. And on defense, I think you got to have really good defensive ends, and you got to be strong in the middle. It's pretty much having a complete team. I mean, and you're recruiting the best players, but having the best players doesn't always translate into winning a national championship unless you have a coach and you have a good plan, but the players have to believe in it. And I was very fortunate. I know the 2013 team, I think it maybe had the highest winning margin of any team. I don't know, after the last 50 years, we completely demolished teams. I mean, our players just we believed that we could beat you, and we were going to beat you, and there was a presence, but it starts with a head coach, and head coach has the plan. You feed off that. You have somebody, you believe in the plan, and you know that they're going to, when you're in the battle, they're going to make the right decisions for the team.
You talked about the quarterback position. How good were Tim Tebow and Jameis Winston?
Interestingly, people will ask me this. They're similar guys. And I'm going to tell you, they both commanded respect from the players, and the players respected them because they respected their teammates. I can remember the senior day. This is with Jameis, and coming off the field, the team was coming off the field, and he's a freshman. Seniors are coming off, and somebody's standing at the back of the tunnel, and he's slapping hands and congratulating all of the seniors. And I was like, wow, what a leader. He was a humble leader, but a fierce competitor on the field. Now, Timmy, when he set foot on campus, I remember the first time he touched the ball, I think he picked up he tucked it and run. I don't know if it was a design run. Picked up about 20, 25 yards. I remember playing at Tennessee, and it was like he was the short yardage guy that always picked up the yard or 2 yards or 3 yards. The players just responded to him and respected him as a person, and he had a commanding presence on the field. And then I saw it even more so when I went to Florida State, and I watched him dismantle us a few times, and I could see how, in the third and fourth quarter, our DBs and linebackers didn't want to have anything to do with him when he had a physical, commanding presence on the field that was one of the nicest, most humble human beings off the field. Didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't swear, but every player on that team wanted to be around him. He was a devout Christian. I remember. I'll tell you a story about him. We're playing. It was he had already signed. It was on campus, and everybody wanted him to be his player host. So I remember we were at a basketball game, and the recruits were there, and Tim was sitting like three seats down from me, and he's sitting with his recruit, and I'm sitting in the stands because I'm organizing this thing with the players, coming in after we had lunch, and then they go back to the dorm. Anyway, so there's two girls sitting next to me, and I remember they were on their phone the whole time because you're like, I know what they were doing. They're telling their friends that they're sitting next to Tim, and people were coming around snapping pictures of him. And I remember thinking, I'd never seen that before, where he was a celebrity on campus. So he got up at the half and he was walking out, and there was a bunch of people surrounding him. And I said, Tim, hey, you want me to help you with this? He says, no, sir. He said, I'm fine. He says, I'll finish this up. We're just going to go over and watch film in the office. And he went over there to watch film. He was all business. He was just a great human being, and he was his own man. And he's but every player on that team respected him and wanted to be around him. Jameis, everybody wanted to be around him. He treated them all. They respected him as a person. But he was also, you could see the leadership on the field.
No doubt. Well, Bob, we got one more question for you. And me and you, we go way back, right? I mean, when Myron was
one of my recruiting failures.
Yeah.
Huh? I'm in Florida watching your brother commit. I'm sitting in Florida watching. It was during summer camp. So I'm not coaching a position, but I go out and watch practice. Well, that day I'm in there. I'm the one watching TV that everybody's going to say, where'd he go? Where'd he go? You know? So I'm watching, and he says he's going to Florida State. And I'm like, holy shoot, what did we do? What did we do wrong here?
Well,
and it really was everything that Florida State did right, because when I got to Florida State, I said, and that, I'm going to tell you, okay, that was another landmark recruiting superstar. That was if I was going to talk about two of the most dynamic, and that whole process. Myron's was had the media, had everybody, wanting to know what the final decision was going to be. But then when I got to Florida State, the first guy I hung around with was my man Myron.
Yeah. Well, I just remember, I didn't even know what your role was at University of Florida, but when we were there, I just saw this white guy with silver hair, and he just knew everything about us, Fish. I mean, everything. And I was like, man, I just like him. This come around, you know what I mean? And then I saw you at Florida State, but Bob, I'll say this, and you're humble and you won't talk about this, but everywhere you've been very successful, right? The programs have won national championships, and you'll never say that, but I'll say it for you. You're very good at your job and what you do. Are you looking to go to another college program, or are you gonna just hang it up?
Well, I think at this point, if another opportunity presented itself, I would listen to it. During the last year, my wife went through. She's fine now, and because I kind of retired after last December, I helped Odell in a transition with Coach Norvell. Was there when Coach Norvell arrived, and then I've been retired. But my wife went through stage 4 cancer. She beat it.
Wow.
And I was her caregiver. So, over the last year, my priorities were, I was on my knees a lot, and she's fine. So I'm right now, I'm just taking it day to day. And if something comes up, I would be interested. But I've been very fortunate to be around really good people, and really when you were on campus, it was, you're super people. It's really, really not hard to be nice and enjoy, because you like to enjoy yourself. And it's hard when you have a lot of prospects in at one time, some prospects, it's harder. But when your family was there, you were such humble, gracious people. I kind of just enjoyed sitting and talking with you, and and especially Myron being just a special person, and but you can see, because he has a special family and special brother, and your mom and your dad and your brothers. And so, it's not hard when you're with good people that you like to sit and talk and learn about them, and you learn from other people.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, hey, this is arguably our top podcast, or one of them. And we appreciate you. You're a great family friend of the Rolls, and I'm looking forward to seeing whatever program is blessed to have you there, because they'll probably be playing for a national championship if they do it right.
Well, I appreciate it. You know what? I've just enjoyed talking to my friends tonight. I really enjoyed talking with both of you. You're dear friends, and the night was special for me.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, I just want to say this as a close friend of mine, and I wouldn't have made it in this business if it wasn't for people like you, and I really appreciate you helped me out in this business a lot, and you always took care of me wherever you were at, and I'll never forget that. And that's why, you've always been there for me, and I've learned a lot from you. So, I'd like to thank you for everything you've done for my career. So,
well, Fish, I appreciate that, and you took care of me too.
Well,
we got the players. So
absolutely. Well, Bob, hey man, thank you again. Come on anytime. We'll use that knowledge, man. We'll use that knowledge because the next time we have you on, we may have to go through the Florida recruiting classes. Then really put you on the spot a little bit.
Hey, we did have one of your former friends on, Demo. Demo was on our show, and
Demo's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun, man. He kept going on and on and on. Once you get him winded up, there's no end in sight. So.
Fish, I just got to ask you, how's your son?
He's doing good. He's 11. He honestly, I always worried that I gave bad evaluations to so many kids, and my son's playing baseball. So that when he first went out to baseball, he was the worst player on the team, and I'm like, this is God punishing me for hammering Vince Williams or somebody like that or something, So but you know what? He's turned out to be. He's smart. He got that from his mom. He's athletic. He got that from his mom, and he's a heck of a baseball player. So I can't take any credit for it.
He has his dad's heart.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
That's really good. You got a special son and taking care of your family.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all the kind words, and we look forward to having you back on, man.
Oh, I'll enjoy it.
All right, man.
All right, Bob. Thank you, man.
Thanks for everything. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.